start to look at your environment, if you eating food your entire life, right? If a person can put in front of them all the food that they ate in the warehouse and they was able to break down the composition of what was in it,
Man.
you're gonna see that it was concoction of death.
Yeah.
You understand me? And destruction and things that have disruption of your hormones, you understand me? And your sexual drive and things of that nature. And so it's because I know I'm gonna have a diverse audience, but in the end of the day, truth is truth.
Everything starts from that primitive gut tube. It's three things that's created simultaneously, I would say, at the same time. That's the nervous system, the primitive gut tube, and something called the lipid sac. The lipid sac is the actual lymphatic system where it can clean up all the byproducts that the baby is getting from eating all the food that mother eat. Then you also have that blood, but blood and lymph is called the interstitium fluid of the body. This is all talking about the same chemical composition. From there, you got the primitive gut tube where everything grow from.
Yeah.
You know, they call it the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. And when you start looking at, and this is how holistic health is, your skin is made from the same cells as your brain. You know what I'm saying? So if you have a skin problem, something is wrong with your brain.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You start looking at your internal organs, they made for the same thing as your eyes. So like I just think we need to be re-educated and taught of what true love is, and that love for self is gonna make us research health.
Yeah.
It's gonna make us research food. It's gonna make us research
That's a
religion.
fact.
It's gonna all have to start with that self-love. But you know, again, we letting people create our environment and putting us in these tanks. I used to have a snake, you know? And I remember when I had this snake, I was like 10 years old, but something caught up to me. It stayed in my consciousness. My mama said, if you don't change the cage and make the cage bigger, the snake won't grow. It will only grow to fit in the cage. And I'm like, dang. So now, you know, I'm 33 thinking about it. If you put somebody in an environment and you limit that environment that you put them in, they only gonna be able to grow to function in that environment.
That's a fact.
Anything outside that environment, they're gonna be unaware of, or they're gonna lack the knowledge of. And that's why we ignorant, you know what I'm saying? Because we are not being privy to the environment. So, I mean, privy to the knowledge that they are keeping away from us. And that's why I respect you, man, like so much, because you are out feeding the masses of people and you get into the high level conversations. And now we waking people up. They probably in their notebooks like this right now. Let me look up that
absolutely.
meat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
and that's
gonna
what
be
it's
a lot
about.
to learn.
So what we doing essentially is we breaking that cage that my mama was talking about with that snake out here. We breaking it. Now that snake is able to grow and be introduced to another environment that it didn't even know existed, man.
You know, most of us, we so attracted to death, we got to distract them from it. Like, unfortunately, it's like, you know how like a person watching Netflix all day, like that's their distraction. But really, it's not. That's their primary focus.
Facts.
This is their distraction. You understand me? Because
That was deep
this
right
ain't
there.
this ain't their dominant majority in their life.
Facts.
Like consciousness is now people's distraction.
Yeah.
And then they go right back to the reality, you understand me, that's destroying them.
Which is their focus.
Yeah, which is what they
That's
primary
deep.
focus
I like
is.
that. I like that.
So it's like knowing that being a 1% in somebody's life, trying to increase the repetition of people getting into the pattern and a better frequency of self. Like I always say, what you do frequently becomes your frequency.
Facts.
Right? Like you can look at a person's reality and see the sum of their habits, their thoughts, their ideas, and their patterns.
Facts.
That's the frequency you want.
Facts.
And it's going to control you. But I want to have a conversation about this because you talked about something, and it's about more so the connection between food and sex, right? Now, I know that specifically in America, you know, when you go on a date, most of the dates are going to be to food, right? You go eat food, the blood go down, it's going to excite those erogenous areas, it's going to make you horny, you want to
Facts.
have sex.
Facts.
That's the food sex cycle. You have sex, you burn the calories, you understand me, and then you get hungry, and then it's a food sex cycle within that pattern of relationship.
Can I throw something in there real quick?
No, I want you to throw it all in there, man.
And look, we gotta keep
Almost.
this. We gotta keep this too. The food that they eating got sexual hormones in them, especially if you eating chicken. You know, because they want them to reproduce faster, so they sticking them with all type of sexual steroids. So that come on to you. Then most of the food is died through stress. You know what I'm saying? So you getting all them stress, you know, melanin neurotransmitters that come from the food. So, and you have to look at promotion wise when it comes to food psychology. You know, we see that a Snicker is made to replicate a black man's penis. Got the veins in it and everything. You bite into the Snicker, you got caramel dripping from the Snicker. It's even in our foods. Hot dogs. What is the concept of a hot dog? And why do a hot dog go between buns? What about pizza? And how pizza is used for pedophiles. It's called Pizzagate. But you see, pizza represents the upside down triangle, which represents the womb of a woman. So food is sexual. But we have to start looking at sex. Sex ain't all about the sexual reproductive organs, you know. Just like a woman have lips on her mouth, she have lips down there. You know, just how you have certain things that's in the back of your throat, this is something called a clitoris. So we see that as above, so below. So you can have sex through food just like you have sex through your lower reproductive organs.
That's why people, I mean, you know, a lot of people substitute sex for food sometimes.
Facts.
It's going to give you that same endorphin raise. You understand me? You feel like you're in love.
Hey, look, so
in America, it's, well, they say 45% of America is obese, but it's really probably 70, 80%.
Facts. You know, they be lying on them stats.
Yeah. But I was going to ask you, because you talked about curing, because number one, there's a lot of black men out there with erectile dysfunction at young ages. And because you don't naturally, number one, who's to say it's natural in the first place? You understand me? You should be able to go your whole life and be able to procreate. You understand me? And reproduce. But of course, with all of the things that we eat, you understand me, and all of the mucus that build up and all the things that's in between, not only are we not creating enough little swimmers, you understand me? Like growing up in St. Louis, we was drinking Vest sodas and all kind of crazy crap.
Red Hot Ripples.
Yeah, man, the emos, you feel me? It was good, but it was destroying my manhood.
Yeah,
you understand me? The whole time, decreasing my testosterone, not giving me none of the substance and nutrition that I need. And so there's a lot of males that destroy today from a biological level.
Yeah, facts.
You understand me? Just on the way that they eat. Like you can't produce that energy. Number one, you don't have any control over it.
Yeah.
Then two, you can't properly, that's an emasculation right there.
Facts.
And then you can't even think clearly. So now you're not that type of person that can even come up with ideas and produce them in reality. So you ain't got no power in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's like, how did you get over, you know, from when you was doing drugs and you started to clear up to where you can properly function as a man again?
First, I had to realize a word that I call estrogen annihilation.
Yeah.
That's what's making us very feminine. That's what's happening with the THC and the weed. That's what's happening and what they putting into all the food. And then if you look,
I call it soy boys.
Soy boys, right? I would start calling
soy boys.
Yeah,
man.
soy boys are estrogen annihilation. And if you look at estrogen, synthetic estrogen, it is what we were just talking about earlier, which is a magnesium inhibitor and a manganese inhibitor. You can't produce zinc, and zinc is what works with testosterone to create your actual seminal fluid, or what we're gonna call semen. So, you know, if you eating all these foods that's high in estrogen, high in all these different acidic acids that's being left behind as byproducts of synthetic chemicals that they putting in the food for additives and preservatives, these preservatives are literally not only behavior modifiers, but they're sexual modifiers too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what's really messing with us, man, and cutting off our circulation, keeping us from getting erections and keeping us from reproducing the actual seminal fluid. So how I got rid of mine was I started studying a lot. And once I realized that, you know, dang, estrogen is naturally supposed to be in my body, but I'm not using the natural estrogen in my body, I'm using the synthetic estrogen.
Right.
Dang, that's robbing me, you know, because estrogen is not, synthetic estrogen is an iron phosphate inhibitor too. Well, the black man's mineral is iron phosphate, period. We need that for oxygen. We need that to convert all types of other different steroids over. So I'm starting to see that the food was robbing me of all the minerals and all the melanin neurotransmitters that I need to keep a balance of homeostasis. So once I started shying away from the food, because you know, that moment in the hospital for me, I started loving myself. I don't know what it was. I don't even know if it was the doctor or if that was my time. Yahweh was just like, look, get it now or don't get it. But it woke me up.
Perhaps it was just the idea that, you know, you was living to get close to death. And then you got it and realized you wanted to be closer to life.
Right, I didn't want it. Fact.
You understand me? You know, it was somebody was saying that, you know, if I said, yo, I'm gonna give you $10 million right now, you know, everybody gonna be like, cool, I take $10 million, you know. But if I say, all right, I'm gonna give you $10 million, but you understand me, it means you won't wake up tomorrow morning. So you got till tomorrow, but you get your $10 million.
Nah, I don't need no 10 million.
And so what that was to say is that means that waking up tomorrow is more valuable than $10 million.
Fact.
So we should be living like it.
Yeah.
Because anybody in this room would take $10 million just for another day.
Yeah.
So that lets you know how valuable life and breathing another moment is, but we don't have that reality.
Facts.
You understand me? Because we born in systems that tell us, all right, number one, everything is planned out for us.
Facts.
Right? You got your nursery, you got your middle school, you got high school, you get that degree or you get that diploma, then you go into college, then you go take out a debt loan. You understand? You take that debt loan, then you go through college, go through a university, then go work for somebody else. You work for somebody else, you set up your retirement account, IRA, all of that shit, and then you retire. You understand me? And then you just wait to die. Like, that don't sound like a life that no human being should ever sign up for.
Man, it sound like prison.
It is a prison because it's a structure that was given where you can't control your